Any other local government area?
Yes, we have Exaco Central.
Exaco Central. Okay. Are they ready? Exaco Central.
Exaco Central, please.
Exaco Central. Still on Exaco. 1 minute, sir. Exaco West. Yes. No, we've not do that at this level. Please, thank you.
Exaco Central?
Not ready, sir.
Not ready.
Okay, so there you have, while the wait for Exaco Central, just once again, the 14th local government area result, which has just been announced. Aghogho Edo, you have the APC with 22,963, and the PDP with 20,100 votes. So that's 14 local governments in all. So I see a returning officer for another local government who has just arrived, and we'll quickly get to him shortly. It's 99.3 Nigeria Info Election Coverage Studio. So far, 14 local government areas in the governorship election for Edo State have been announced at the INEC state headquarters in Benin, and we have 4 more local governments to go. So I think now I have enough time with this Aghogho. I can just look at the total number of registered voters there. 121,027 accredited voters. This is for Aghogho Edo, 46,967. So you see the point I was making about we're not ever over a third of registered voters in this election. So 30% I see in almost every local government didn't declare, which is the highest when you have that, but lower when it drops to about 25%. So maybe we're still in that margin where we think we can get 650,000 people who turned out for yesterday's election. But let's get back to Benin and hear what the INEC returning officer who's just arrived has to say.
Resources. My place of primary assignment is Exaco East, and my EO is
Mr.
Okay. The total number of registered areas are 10. And of these 10, the results are as follows. Number of registered voters are 157291. Number of accredited voters are 28404. Then the scores. Okay, please let me come again with the number of accredited voters. 28464, not 0464. 28464.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Then vote.
105.
Number of registered voters are 157.
Oh, not 105.
No, 157291. Then accredited voters are 28464.
Okay.
The scores for the various parties are as follows. AA scored 03. ADC scored 29. ADP scored 67. APC scored 17011. Alga scored 05. APN scored 00. APP scored 00. LP scored 03. NNPP scored 08. NRN scored 11. PDP scored 10668. SDP scored 10. YPP scored 04. ZLP scored 05. Total valid votes are 27824. Rejected votes are 335. Total vote cast are 28156.
No.
159. 28159. 28159.
Okay, yeah, thank you. At Esako East, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Any cancellation?
There is no cancellation, sir.
Okay. You can submit the result, please.
Nigeria Info Election Studio. We'll be right back. This is Nigeria Info Election Studio.
All right, welcome back. We just had Esako East local government area result for the Aghogho governorship election announced. So just to read out just the leading parties in Esako East, the APC scored 17,011 votes, and the PDP scored 10,668 votes. So Esako East is the 15th local government area results have been declared. So one more time, Esako East, APC 17,011 votes, the People's Democratic Party 668 votes. So we have 3 more local government areas to go, and Wemimo just walked in, so if anyone had thought that we would make this thing go all the way till evening, they had something else coming, because we have just 3 to go, and it appears we have another local government area returning officer at the INEC office in Benin. So let's hear what he has to say.
Get across to him, call him. Anyway, he's good for his and wait for him.
All right. Okie dokie. While they do the mathematics, you hear the background sound of 4, 5, 6, 7 as they try to add up and make sure the numbers are correct. So far, 15 local government areas declared the Edo governorship election at the Collation Center in Benin, Edo State. And so far, so good, Wemimo.
Yeah, so far so good. Good morning, Nigeria. Good to be here this Sunday morning. It's a drizzling, it's a wet morning, and I'm quite I'll say I'm quite impressed. I mean, I didn't expect any less. I mean, it's just one state. I don't expect them to keep us here the whole day.
Yeah.
They're just about 18 local governments. So, in fact, left to me, I thought we'll be done with this before the morning broke. Yeah, I mean, they're just how many local governments, and I'm not sure. Do they have riverine areas?
Yeah, they're riverine areas around the Aghogho, Edo area.
Yeah,
They
but
got this river Siloko bordering Ondo and Edo State. So they got riverine areas. But people are saying we're typical Nigerian. It's been fast. I think one reason why it's also been fast, you got only 14 parties there. So you don't have like the guy going to read from
so many parties.
72 parties before they get to the end.
yeah.
And
And some of those parties
yeah.
still ended up getting 0 votes. Some of them got 1, 3 votes, and so on. So
One of the most fascinating things, I think one of the local, I think it was Esson West, where the returning officer did not have the numbers properly collated. So he went back and then came back and he said they had some correction to make. And I said, is the correction with the APC and PDP figures? It was with the other guy. So 1 was 2, it became 3.
So where did the mistake come in? I mean, when you counted the votes, you wrote it down somewhere. So how
Yes.
could there be a
Yes.
these things
Yeah.
that are stuff that affect the confidence of the people, in
Yes.
the electoral process.
Yeah.
The votes were counted in the presence of the agents.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't miss 3 for 4.
Yeah.
You wrote 3 on paper. The faintest memory,
So what
the
they
faintest
did-
pen is sharper
Yeah.
than the sharpest memory.
So they had all the
how
polling
come?
units, and then they added 1, 2, maybe one of the one of the sheets. They didn't realize the guy put 1 there. So it's when they added
It's
the
their
entire.
job to realize.
Yeah.
That's the point. That's
So, yeah.
their total.
Yeah.
They don't have any other job at this election than to
Right.
realize. I mean,
Well, the good thing about the collation is at least it allows you to go back. If you've made any mistake, you can correct and then come back. Otherwise, I'm just thinking the horror it will be if those numbers were in the margins of several thousands.
Yeah,
But just
yeah.
1.
so and one of the things I also noted was, while we said there was high turnout, maybe the number of people on the queues, the number
Yeah.
of registered voters compared to the number of people who came out to vote it was quite a depressed number. I had registered voters 150 something.
Yeah.
Those who came to vote about 25,000. Maybe we saw a lot of people on the queues, but
Yeah.
when you look at the numbers on the paper, I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't match up. And I still wonder at this age and time why people are not interested
Yeah.
in those who govern them for another 4 years. I mean, your
Very true.
lives are practically in the hands of these folks, and you must be interested. So I'd like to speak with the audience. I mean, I know this is not Lagos, but the same apathy we saw in Lagos, we've seen in other places, and I'm wondering why people don't turn out for elections to vote. These are life-changing decisions you're making for the next 4 years. The people who decide what schools, the schools your children will attend will look like, the hospitals you attend, healthcare. Would you have healthcare provision? Would your roads be good? Would you have waste management? These are this is it. So if you're going to be complaining for the next 4 years and you did nothing now, I don't know that you have the moral right to even complain.
Very true.
So do talk to us, Nigeria, when you call us 0700 993 993 993. You can also reach us on WhatsApp 08095 97 5805 080 95 97 5805. Twitter is at Nigeria Info FM. You can also tweet at me at Wemimo Sport and at Aghogho Oboh there on Twitter. Would like to read from you. What is it with this apathy? Aren't you concerned about what's going to happen to you and to your children in the next 4 years? Aren't you? Do talk to us.
Yeah. And I also think there's something wrong with the voter register. Say for 2003 election where we had numbers close to what we had overall in the register. Other elections we've seen the percentage of voter turnout at 30%. So people have said, maybe we look at that register very well and find out whether indeed everyone there should be on the
On
list.
right.
You know, so it may just be a case of we have numbers, because back in the days when they're doing the voter rate, because up till now they still haven't, we're 72 million on that register, which I doubt if it's really that number, because election after election we get 30% of those who
Registered.
on the poll are those who are on the register, you know. But
So maybe we need to do some sieving.
go
But
back and look at that register and find out, are we really 72 or is 84 million now on that register in the real sense? Because election after election we keep finding out the same thing.
Okay, let's take some calls before we go back to the to Benin, right, where the votes are coming in. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, Action Lady, good morning, ma'am.
Morning to you, sir. Welcome to the show.
Chief Oboh.
Hey, Chief Christopher.
Chakumaku.
Makushi.
I told you. You know, I want to thank some set of people, Action Lady.
Uh-huh.
I want to thank Edo people. They know their left from their right? Good. And I want to thank the thugs. Chief Oboh, you know, I said yesterday there's some what they call an abandoned project, right? Take the job, collect the money, abandon that business. Although I'm not in support of that. So that one will teach all these people lesson who recruit thugs from all over the place. So the thugs, good one. Then for Basiki, I want to congratulate him. And I want him not to throw the part of the former chairman when he's going after 4 years, right? He should not dictate who will take over from him.
But don't worry, we have enough time to talk about that also. But let's go. We need to go back to Benin City now. More votes are coming in. Thank you, Chris, for calling.
Carry go,
and stay with us. Thank you. Let's go back to Benin City and get some more of the votes in.
I hereby present the result for 10 registration areas. The total number of registered voters is 5,004. 5,004. Total number of accredited voters 16092. 16092. Votes received by political parties. AA 0. AA 0. ADC 2. ADB 3 4. ADB 3 4. ABC 8359. ABC 8359. ABGA 1. ABGA 1. ABN 1. ABN 1. ABB 1. ABB 1. LB 1. LB 1. NNBB 1. NNBB 1. NRN 4. NRN 4. BDP 7478. BDP 7478. SDP 3. SDP 3. YPP 0. YPP 185. Rejected votes 157. 157. Total vote cast 1642. 16042. 16042.
Thank you.
There are cases of
Okay, cancellation.
yes, sir.
From which ward and which police unit?
We have the issue of cancellation in RA 8, that's Ekberi 3.
Which ward?
It's Ward 8, sir.
How many police units there that were affected?
There are 11, sir.
Affected?
Yes, sir. For the entire ward, sir.
The entire ward?
Yes, sir. The reason for the cancellation, sir. Sir, I have my report here. I will present.
What are the expected number of voters there?
Expected number of voters 7778. 7778.
What is the reason for cancellation?
Violent disruption of the poll process by hoodlums and thugs,
Okay,
to
thank you.
the extent that an INEC staff was shot and is lying critically ill in the hospital. Another staff was cut in the face, and the electoral materials were scattered everywhere around the area and voters dispersed.
You have your report?
Yes, sir.
Okay, after that was any other one?
Yes, there is a unit. Unit 5. Unit. Unit 5.
I think there is a pattern that is pattern.
Sorry. It's RA 10, Unit 6. The RA 10, Unit 6.
Okay, what happened there?
A case of overvoting.
How many voters are you expected there?
325. Okay, for that particular
Unit there,
Okay.
that's unit 6.
221.
221, yeah?
221.
Any other police units that have crisis?
No, sir.
Thank you very much. You can submit your report.
All right, you heard it there. Result coming in from Edo State, Etako Central. I mean, you see the result there, Etako East and so on. This last result that was brought in, however, records violence in that area. According to the returning officer, he announces that even one INEC officer was shot. In that area, there was violence. I mean, they had to all pack up and go back home. He has submitted the results right now. We expect that there'll be about 2 more local governments to come in, or 3.
Yeah, 2 more. So,
2 more.
Yep, so Esako Central.
Yeah.
APCIC got 8,359, PDP 7,478, rejected votes 157, valid votes 15,885. So we have a son of the soil here, Liboro Sushoma, legal practitioner. I'm surprised Liboro isn't in Edo State today, but we managed to steal him and bring him into the studio. Great to have you, Liboros.
My pleasure.
Liboros Sushoma and Negbete.
Exactly.
You have to put the village name, huh?
Yeah, that's my name.
Sounds good, though. What's the meaning?
Negbete Oshoma.
And Negbete, what does that mean?
That's the name of my village, actually.
Oh, you're named after your village?
I gave myself that name. Tambuwa is from Tambuwa village.
Abi now. Why can't you?
Is from Rimi village.
Abi
Shagari
now.
is from Shagari village.
Why not?
So Liboros and Egbete is from Egbete village.
So we had a conversation just before we came on, and we were assessing the number of registered voters versus the numbers we then see during elections year after year. I mean, every election cycle appears the disparity is too large. I mean, you can't reckon with it. I mean, you're seeing registered voters 150,000 plus, people who came out to vote 25,000 plus. I mean, that's such a huge gap. What's going on?
Yeah, it's you see population in Nigeria. I still tell people is overrated. It's easy for us to sit down in Lagos and we think once Lagos is there's massive population in Lagos, and so it is replicated in every state. Go to some places in the same Edo states that we're talking about, you'll be marveled that in an entire village you won't get more than 1,000 people.
Wow.
Yes. Even the electoral register, you hear some people in the build up to this election, you hear them say, because actually it is the number of registered voters from your area that is used to determine what you get. How many votes will come from there.
Yeah.
So we can do away with it. That's what determines what you get. And so you find out that what happens is people go to lobby to increase the number of registered voters from that area.
But they can't do that without INEC. I mean,
that's what I'm saying, yes. In the case of card reader, when you now use card readers and biometric to actually verify and authenticate the actual people, the numbers reduced. When there were no card readers, you saw that the number of actual voters, was about 75, 85. Because you remember, there was even a community in Rivers State. Almost everybody that registered in that community voted. And they all voted for one party then. But when card readers was introduced, the politicians kicked against. Nobody went to farm. Nobody died. Nobody,
No one was sick.
Exactly. So the politicians kicked against it. During that time, after registration, INEC did what they call AFIS, Automatic Fingerprint Identification System, to match the biometrics with, facials. The governors, if you remember, then most of the governors complained because the numbers of registered voters dropped. So most of the governors complained that it couldn't be so. Governor Babangida of Niger State then complained. All of them, Delta State, Edo, and then after that, INEC now also had to do continuous registration. As we speak, there are some people who did multiple registration who are unable to collect their PVCs. And then there are some also who are late. Those cards will just be there. But by and large, really, and that's why you still see situations where politicians will want to buy PVCs. Right. Because they believe that, if they can't use it, they deprive you of using it. Yeah. And so there's need, like Wemimo said, there's need for us to look at the register again and actually, tell ourselves the truth. Even the population, the entire population of Nigeria is questionable. Every year, we keep estimating.
Right.
If you
Our last census was 2006.
Yes, if you estimate the one in Lagos, Kano will estimate theirs.
Right. So try to match up.
Incidentally,
Yes.
Lagos at the federal level has a different
Yeah.
Population compared to
what the
at the
Lagos
state level. At the
government
federal level, I
has
think
done.
it's about 15 million.
14 million.
Even
Thereabout.
when they did the census,
Yes,
the
Lagos was-
figures
well,
that
times two.
Lagos said they went with the census officials. They had their own officials, their own enumerators that went house to house. But at the end of the day, the federal figure was different from that.
Yeah.
So you see, because of the importance of numbers in election, so you find out that they tell you, oh, you go monitor election.
Boros,
You see that there's massive
while we
turnout.
wait for the remainder to local government, which interestingly has been fast. Of all the elections I've covered, I can't remember anyone this fast. But tell me something, Boros. You've mentioned a key factor. Every single time you've had something happen like a game changer with technology, with the biometric card reader. I remember Tahiru Jega when he was asked about this card readers, and about the numbers of the voter register. He said, what is more important to me is that people will be verified at the voting
Yes.
register.
Yeah.
They can exploit the register. What I know is that at the end of the day, I will have something close to what happened at the ballot with the numbers. The Z-Pad,
Yes.
has it been a game changer when you look at the way the results have come in?
Definitely. If not for the Z-Pad, all of these EC8A that you're seeing, you won't see them. You won't see them anywhere because it is not for elections that are
for
monitored.
our listeners, the EC8, what is it again?
It's the result sheets.
Good.
For most elections that are monitored, it is not what happened at the polling unit. Election results are not determined at the polling unit. It is at the collation centers.
Yeah.
Even sometimes
When all the voters have gone home.
Yes. So even some of the even at the tribunal, even at election petition tribunals also, you find out that some of the results that are tendered, or the results that are handed over to you, you look at them and you tell yourself, if you take this document through forensic evidence, this document did not emanate from collation. A probably document written after collation. They take their time to settle down to write these ones.
To balance out the numbers.
To balance out the numbers. Because if from the collation that you are seeing and then the cancellation, and at the end of the day, the result sheets are handed over to you at the tribunals, and there are no cancellation, everything is clean and sparkling. You now begin to ask, so how about those mistakes? Where did they happen? So when you put all of this together, you find out that where elections are actually manipulated is at collation. But when INEC now introduced this ZPAC, and then that will allow you, the moment you collate at the polling unit, you announce result at the polling unit, you transmit that EC8A, which is the result sheet, to an INEC server through a technological means. It becomes easy for everybody to access it. So it will be difficult for you to go change it at collation. So that is what had played out here. Just the same way voters, card readers had reduced number of actual voters.
Right.
That is the same way the use of technology by INEC had also reduced, manipulation at collation centers.
So we saw, at least the two major parties setting up situation rooms. When I saw the picture online yesterday of one of the parties, they meant business. They had a whole hall full of people monitoring.
All political parties have always had situation rooms.
But now with the Z-Pad, there's something to refer to. They had screens all over looking at the numbers coming in. However, you've had to look at cases of at the tribunal, election tribunal, and it's clear that you can only look at the numbers on the screen. You can't take it to court. What you can take to court at the end of the day is still the sheets.
Because the sheets are what is displayed on the screen.
Or should be.
It is what is displayed on the screen. Before now, those sheets are not displayed on the screen. Before now, you don't see those sheets anywhere electronically. It is what is given to you at the end of the day. Whether signed by both party agents or not, once it is signed and authenticated by INEC, and that is what is and declared by INEC, that is what is admissible. But now that document that you see on the screen, before now, even if let's assume that the results at the collations at the polling unit are not shown on the screen, and those results get to collation center. It will be difficult. It will be easy to manipulate. You allocate at that time. What they do, they just allocate votes. So you look at the number of registered voters in those areas, and then you just up the figures. And then people who actually monitor the election will say, no.
Right.
In my polling unit, I know this party won.
Right.
But how come
Right.
when the result is finally announced, we're seeing big figure, like fella said, people not go vote where they can get big numbers. But with this, when you see, once the result is captured at the polling unit and is displayed, it is for the entire world to view.
Yes.
So if you now get back, if you get to the collation center, there's no way you can change what has been shown to the world. That's
Except the person wants to embarrass himself. But before we go on a quick break, Deborah, we look also too at this result and try and look at the overall exercise and hear what comments people have been making. Interestingly, the two candidates, Izzy Yamo and Obaseki, after they voted, scored the process high. Even Bison Wike, the governor of Rivers State, who's the campaign head for PDP. Yesterday, the day before, he was shouting. Yesterday, he said, "From what I'm seeing here, I think this perhaps will be the best election in the history of Nigeria." You think it's a fast stretch of imagination to think about the thing that the Edo election has been free, fair, credible, and without any incident, to say that this is the standard we should have for conducting elections?
You see, first and foremost, politicians will complain, and then when they are leading, they will score the process very high, and then eulogize. It's the same thing, even when they go to court. The day they win, the judiciary is the last
fair.
The day they don't win, they accuse. It's the same thing, when you assess them, if you assess them very well, oh, this station is doing well. The day you give them knocks, oh, you have been compromised.
Right.
And so that's what you see playing out everywhere.
No lies detected.
But the INEC also, what this just goes to show is that at every turn, we need to consistently up our game with technology.
Absolutely.
We need to consistently. With technology, it becomes difficult. Even over time, they will try to break through the process, but we have to consistently up it. Otherwise, you will get to a point where all of the technology that introduced, if not improved upon, will be compromised. The same way, they're trying to compromise card readers, and then INEC came up to say, you know what, now we need to take it a notch further.
Right.
And that's what we need to do. And once we do that, I can bet you, or you can just rise tomorrow and say, look, I want to go contest for governorship, and you will win. Without having to spend so much money.
We wait for that day to come. I mean, I'm looking forward to it, that we can have a truly competitive election of the best minds.
And then the security operatives also, you need to also give them credit for the role that they played in this election. A lot of them, were very professional. Very, very professional. The DSS, because if you remember, on yesterday morning, the PDP were shouting their head out, that Yeson Wike had been caged in his hotel with more than 10,000 policemen. But in the afternoon, they said
10,
no. Yes, I'm telling you. In the afternoon, they came to say, no, that the policemen just, because of the heightened security situation, that the policemen just went to check up on him to ensure that all was well.
He was behaving properly.
That he was behaving properly. And so, most of the place, and then with what had happened, the build up to the election, a lot of people thought that they were going to be fire for fire.
Yeah, absolutely.
But even observers had said, look, this election is one of the most credible so far. And because the security operatives decided not to allow people also manipulate the process, even though politicians shared money on both sides.
I mean, we saw some videos. We even saw videos yesterday. But let's head out for a break. We'll take some more comments from the listener when we return. We're here at 99.3 Nigeria Info Edo Election Coverage Studio. I'm Wemimo Adewuni with Aghogho. Oboh. We're back after this.
Nigeria Info Election Studio. We'll be right back.
It's 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock.
is Ronke from Ikorodu.
Hi, I'm Emeka from Festa.
My name is Ahmed from Apapa. I want to tell you about my radio. My radio is my best friend.
My steady companion.
My radio keeps me informed
all day long
with hot topics,
trending news,
politics, and current affairs.
My radio gives me the best music.
My radio is Nigeria Info.
Everybody in Nigeria listens to Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info Election Studio.
Welcome back, 99.3 Nigeria Info Election Coverage Studio. And we're here looking at what's happening in Edo State. I would like to hear from you, your thoughts so far. It's been, quite impressive, we must say. With what we've seen so far. Fidel Osegale is for us in Edo State for Nigeria Info, and he's on the line now. Good morning, Fidel.
Good morning to you.
Good morning. So what's your assessment? We're here in Lagos doing the assessment with what we see and what you're telling us. The collation is almost over right now. What's your assessment of the situation in Edo State?
Well, it didn't turn out the way we expected. Mm-hmm. When I say the way we expected, there was so much bad blood prior to the election, right, both on social media and, of course, in real life. People were of the opinion that it was going to be very volatile, but from all of the local governments that I covered, it was a far cry. Yes, we had some flashpoints. We had some areas where they had ballot snatching and all of that, but it turned out to be a peaceful election by and large, more peaceful even than the last election. So we're just waiting for the last few local government areas that would be announced. They are done with about 14, so we're just waiting for the last 4, and that's the way it is.
So, Fidel, I'm also thinking something you talked about yesterday. In fact, 2 points. One, the magic number 650,000. I don't know whether we're going to close in on that number. And then the other one, you've been in there. So I guess with 2 local governments to go, people watching, what sort of reactions are you getting on the street in terms of people's reaction to the results that have been released so far?
The celebration coincidentally started yesterday.
Oh.
Because I had to move around Benin City. People were already celebrating in pubs because of the results they got from their polling units. Oh. These people, the voters, they waited from the time they got to the polling units till late yesterday evening when the INEC officials counted the results from the polling units. They even joined in the counting. So the celebration actually started yesterday, and it was actually a fight between the incumbents and not Pastor Sagi Zeyamu, but Adams Oshomole.
Right.
And that has been what they've been singing about all through yesterday. And people are still at the edges of their seats because they want to wait until the last 2 local councils are announced before they take it all out to the streets.
So taking it all out to the street, I heard you mention pubs, and my red flag went up because of COVID-19. So again, in celebrating, of course, now there's a wide margin. People can assume where this is going, although there are still 2 local governments to go. Did you notice on the street yesterday any form of COVID-19 compliance in the celebrations at all?
No, since I got to Benin, the only time I saw a large number of persons wearing masks was yesterday because they came all out wearing their masks, but the social distancing was a different ball game altogether. That was not observed. And just a handful of those polling units had hand-washing facilities and the sanitizers. So that was not adhered to strictly. This is also novel, the first election to be conducted during the COVID-19. So by and large, we did not observe all of that. Because for them, wearing your mask, you can be, you are covered.
No, you're not. Well, let me take you back. Yeah, let me take you back to the, Oshomole discourse. And some people would wonder why Oshomole is still top of the discussion in Edo State. Take it or leave it. With my assessment, I think that he's still a great player in the elections in Edo State, whether you like it or not. At least he was quite a determinant of the sway of the people in these elections. It would appear to be, we don't want godfatherism. It appeared to be, we don't want anything related to Oshomole. And that's why the votes went the other way. Do you think that with these elections, wrapping up shortly, is this a large statement I mean, do you think, with the vibes you're getting, that Oshiomhole probably would have no hold anymore in Edo State? Is that a possibility?
Sadly, it looks that way because, these two people actually contested against each other on opposite platforms last time.
Right.
And people voted for Obaseki simply because of the way he was sold by Oshiomhole and the way he demarketed Pastor Sagi Ezeyamo in that election. Now, the table is being turned, and he said he made a mistake and all of the things that he said. So people were of the opinion that, why would you say this and now you are saying this other one right now? So people were actually just tired of one man running things in the state. It was actually that grouse. They didn't care if Godwin Obaseki was now of the PDP. They didn't really care. Their fight was just, let's take out Oshiomhole from this equation. I mean, he's had us sway for more than 12 years or thereabouts. Please, we do not want to vote for whoever he's backing. And that is what happened in this election. And now that this has happened, it is very close to say that he might not have that kind of relevance, that kind of stronghold in the next 4 years in the state.
So something else, Fidel. We've also looked at. I was telling Liboros Oshoma here that we've had the candidates speak after voting. We got the reactions from Godwin Obaseki after he voted. He said it was a great process so far. We got Osage Ezeyamo's comments. Even Yisom Wike, who'd been complaining before, it said. But have you heard anything from any of them as the results have come from either from Obaseki or Ezeyamo?
No, I think they would have to wait till the results are announced. Nobody will want to speak right now. I was actually there where Godwin Obaseki voted. He came in, he had to wait on the line for about 2 hours before he got to his turn, and he said the process was okay and all of that. He was really calm. And
I was surprised. I was surprised that he stayed on the line for 2 hours. Usually they would come to the front afterwards.
No, you have to wait.
It's good for publicity now. I mean, it's there for so long. People see him. It probably would influence people's vote too. I mean, psychology.
Definitely. That's the bandwagon effect.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, you're seeing the governor up close or the possible next governor up close. I mean, it's got a psychological effect.
Yes, sure. But also, we observed during this election, the issue of vote buying. Both parties actually did that. But the case was now who paid more. Because I saw that in almost all of the polling units that I covered, yesterday. So when we're talking about some of these flaws in the electoral process, let it not seem like it was just one political party, maybe the one who lost. The political party which lost was the one engaged or involved in vote buying and all of that. Both parties were actually engaged in that.
Wow. Did you see any attempt by the police or INEC officials to at all, or make an attempt to stop the vote buying?
It was actually the voters that were stopping the vote buying.
Oh.
Let's say you are in a stronghold of the PDP and the APC wants to
offer some money.
The supporters will chase them out. Vice versa. That was exactly what happened yesterday. It had nothing to do with the police, because what they do, they walk far away from the polling unit, walk far away, giving themselves signals, okay, we're going to go share money now, and that was how it was done yesterday.
Wow. Fidel, thank you very much for the update.
You're welcome.
All right. Liboros, you heard it. Let me come back to you on Oshiomhole. And, it's interesting, the intrigues of Edo State. I mean, former sweethearts have become, rivals. I mean, really strong rivals at that. And Oshiomhole was really instrumental in Obaseki coming in, becoming governor. I mean, you look at the sudden twists of events. I mean, here was Oshiomhole singing Obaseki, singing of him in high praises. The same thing, Obaseki to Oshiomhole. Suddenly, they can't see eye to eye. And again, I needed to see how voters react to issues between power brokers in the state? I mean, the sway. Do we see emotional voting here? It's not about the party or ideology. It's just emotions.
Yeah, I'll take your mind back a little bit to answer your question. In Anambra, if you remember, Peter Obi handed over to Obiano. And then for Obiano's second term, Peter Obi left the party, moved into PDP and tried to oust Obiano. And then the people felt, no, look, you came, brought this man to us and told us he was the best.
Right.
And that
after
today,
sliced bread.
Because you couldn't control him, you want us to also follow you blindly. And that didn't happen. Obiano got the second term. And so for Edo State, the same thing. And then Oshomole was too acerbic in his campaigns against Izeyamu in 2016.
Right.
There was no name he didn't call Izeyamu. I remember the governor of Borno State, who is also an APC member, said he wasn't coming to Benin because this is the same man you told us, was all sorts in 2016. What has changed? And then also the fact that the people also, you think that the people would forget easily. And then they look at you as in, yes, we followed you when the powers that be stood against you. And so now also that you want to stand as a block against, people that somebody that you have brought to us. It won't work that way. And then coupled with the mood of the country generally, APC is not in the best of position now at the center. People are not too happy with the style of governance with APC. A lot of people are angry. And then now you come on board and then you say, no, we brought a governor for you before and no, so now we want to bring somebody else that we say wasn't good.
Do you think this would have been different if the candidate the APC had brought forward was not Izeyamu? Maybe someone else entirely?
Then it would have been difficult. It would have even been more difficult for them, even though it would have been a bit different. Some people would have also felt, okay, yes, this is somebody different, not Izeyamu that you said
you had whitewashed,
you had that,
or you had run down, yes.
And it would have been a bit different. It would have had its up and down also because also. Maybe that candidate wouldn't have had the kind of influence or followership that Izeyamu had, as a politician, having played politics in Edo State from 1999. And then also, maybe if Obaseki had not moved to PDP, PDP had also they had strong foothold in Edo.
Already.
Yes, already.
Now
even in the last election.
Now that you mentioned it, I wanted, because something Fidel said, it wasn't what we expected, even though he talked about more in terms of the process. But people have also talked about whether this is some sort of upset. I think about it, you mentioned the election in 2019, and you look at 2 senatorial seats for the PDP and only one for the APC. In fact, when I look at the map as distributed according to the
and
different
it's the
areas,
same. It is a play out of that 2019 election.
So you see, just Edo North.
Edo North.
Exactly.
That is where the APC had their senatorial, or have their senatorial candidate, and that's the place that Oshomola is from, and that's the same place they have won massively now. But for the central, which is Isan, and the south, over time, this has been areas controlled largely by the PDP until Oshomole came. And even when Oshomole was there, people felt, okay, yes, Oshomole did some quite well in Benin. And so for that, even though he was contesting against a Benin man then, that, they supported him because that Benin man, to a large extent, was imposed. And so it's the same mood now. Some people also felt that Obaseki Izeyamu was single-handedly brought by Oshomole, even though because of the misunderstanding he has with Obaseki, and then also the sympathy for the oppressed. Oh, they are just oppressing this man,
the underdog.
So why are you oppressing him?
Let's do an appraisal of Obaseki's last 4 years. I mean, like you said, you're from there.
Yeah.
So again, I'm trying to highlight you tell me if you think it's risky that if you think it's risky that voters are voting based on sentiments and emotions.
Because the two candidates are the same. So it's if you
if they could
cross
look at the risk, so easily.
If you look at the risk factor, you won't say, oh,
but
yes.
There were other
because
candidates.
Even if they had, that's my problem.
There were other candidates.
That's my problem.
We didn't even,
permit me to start from other candidates. You know, during the election, we're in this studio and we talked about the Kingsley Mogalos, the
last year.
One would have expected that, you know, I'm shocked when I see some of them now come on program, they call them political analysts. You take the title, you're a politician, act as one.
Yeah, push it.
The politicians that are governing us they are not on part-time, they're not playing politics on part-time basis. They're full-time. And so one would have expected that they would use this opportunity since people now see APC and PDP as the same. And especially now that they have swapped role, one would have expected that they use this opportunity to go support their party candidate and show strength to see if that will, sway voters. But unfortunately, even the fringe political party, as I call them, we're looking for how to endorse either the APC or the PDP candidate. So that's why it became a two-leg race for the APC and the PDP. And it was like they've just swapped roles.
Yeah. Why we're blaming the politicians, what blame do the people have? I have a big issue with people these are politicians. They have their game going on.
Yes.
If it doesn't suit them, they cross to the other side.
Yes.
It's a game for them.
But
the people who would feel the impact of governance are also easily swayed.
No.
Are they not looking deeply enough?
For this, that's why I said either way, you can't really blame the people here. If the people had gone massively with the APC, that's when you now say, no, the people don't have a mind of their own. Obaseki is a governor, mind you. He's a governor, and no matter how much we want to assess his infrastructural development, for me, my assessment is usually very high. So I score him low on that. Some people will make excuses that he couldn't work because some persons did not allow him.
How didn't they allow him?
I'm telling you that these are the
excuses.
These are the excuses that some supporters would. And then others would say, look, a non-Benin man cannot come and decide who becomes the leader in Benin. And so for that, yes, Izayamu, you're good. But for a man from Edo North, having to show you to us, we no longer want that.
And that's a problem.
Before now, it was somebody from Edo Central, which is a Neni, that was dictating. And we have 60% of the votes here. And so somebody from outside cannot come to tell us that. Secondly, Obaseki being was a governor in APC, he had colleagues who also would be sympathetic to him to say, look, if we allow the party to treat this man this way, someday they can treat us the same way. And so that's why you also saw that the APC governors were divided. They were not united. And Oshomole said a lot in 2016. To come and unsay it was difficult.
There's
and
no
so,
undo
some
button.
of those things that he said
were used against
to support Obaseki were used against him.
Which unfortunately formed part of the nonsensical, like they say. But in case you just joined the conversation on 99.3 Nigeria Info's election coverage studio, waiting for 2 local government areas to be announced. We got 16 so far in. And Liboros Anegbete Oshoma, legal practitioner, is with us this morning. And he's giving us analysis of everything he's seen so far. But tell us also something. Very soon we're going to come to the phone line so we can get your reactions. Unfortunately, the issues of development did not get the opportunity to be discussed during the campaign. We talked about the nonsensical, about certificate and all of that. But we have the opportunity to probe the process. You've handled litigation with the elections. And I was listening to returning officer after returning officer come talk about what happened during the polls as they submitted the results. And one particular, I think it's Aghogho, local government area returning officer, who said, many of the who announced the result, and I think it was the APC man I'm not too sure, who got up and said, "Agent, you said that at the polling areas you had issues of overvoting, but it's not included in your report." But she went on to read the report later on, saying she was going to later on produce that as the report. But she included the numbers of votes that were cancelled in the final result. Now, this is a small election in terms of the general, but I see there's a general problem which hasn't been addressed yet. Because this was what she said. She said, I could not cancel the result because I don't have the power to cancel the result. But other returning officers cancel the result when they had issues of overvoting in polling units.
If a returning officer does not have powers to cancel results when there is overvoting, the owner has the power to cancel it.
Good question.
You know, because when INEC would inform them when there is overvoting, it means that process had been compromised.
Yeah.
Right.
And you, especially if there is overvoting in a particular polling unit, you see, it's always very easy for us to excuse away some of these, discrepancies. Wemimo asked a question while I was on my way to the studio. These are figures; they are right there before you.
Yes.
You know, how come, this happened? It means somebody somewhere must have been negligent. Yeah. And it means if there's overvoting, it means that you did not pass through the process. Because what's overvoting? The overvoting means, as defined by Supreme Court, is when the number of actual voters is more than the number of registered voters.
Right.
Not PVCs collected and not card readers. Number of registered voters. And so, when you come to vote, once the card reader authenticates your card, and then they now ask you to put your biometrics on the card to verify you. And then the moment they do that, they give you a ballot box, and then they tick that column against your name.
Yeah.
Good.
And after voting, you thumbprint on that same column that you have
to
voted.
show that you voted.
So if that process was not followed, it means that there were multiple thumbprinting.
Yeah. And where did the extra names and thumbprints
if there
come
are
from?
multiple thumbprinting, as a returning officer, you have those overvoting must be coming from a particular polling unit. And so it's not overvoting in
the
all
whole
of
local
in the whole local government as a collation officer. It came from a particular polling unit. And so you have field officers from that polling unit. You have and so those field officers should be able to answer to what happened. You also have reports from them.
Yeah.
Right.
And so when that happens, the returning officer at the local government level has power to say, look, there is a question mark here. I cannot accept this result the way it is because it does not tally with what I have, what
and
the
you know,
records.
it's pretty hard
so when you
to
now
have,
excuse it away to say...
I wonder how overvoting happens. I mean, we started by saying that the number of registered voters is too high.
Sorry, quickly.
Okay.
The only way you can say you do not have powers to cancel result is if those results had been announced. Once they have been announced by you,
right,
then it is only the courts that can cancel them or invalidate them.
Right.
But a situation where there is clearly, fraud in a process, you say, oh no, because there is fraud, you don't have the power to rule that there is fraud. For me, that's not...
what I was going to say is overvoting is an obvious error.
Yes.
I mean, we started by saying the number of registered voters might even be overbloated. So if it's already overbloated, that's even further overbloated. Then, I mean, it's an obvious error. Yeah. But let's go to the phone lines and allow you to join this conversation. 0700 993 993 993. We've talked about so many things. Feel free to jump on any of them. Voter registration, the numbers. Are you comfortable with it? The expected violence in Edo State. Many of us were, I wouldn't say disappointed. We're happy that did not happen. Also, the emotional voting of voters, of Nigerians. What's your thought on that? 0700 993 993 993. WhatsApp is 08095 975805. Twitter at Nigeria Info FM. We're talking to you on all of these platforms. And we're live now on Facebook and YouTube, Nigeria Info 99.3. Okay, please try again.
It's a faulty connection.
Sorry.
Okay. Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, my name is Darlington Chida. I'm calling from Ikrodu.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah, please permit me to humbly thank Mr. Liberals for his uncompromised, matured, well-articulated analysis. I say, God bless you all.
Thank you, sir.
In regards to Edo State governorship election, my dear
Mr.
brother,
Darlington, your radio is on. I can hear it from here. You know it should be off.
I'm sorry.
All right, please do that quickly. Go ahead. Yes, please go ahead.
Now?
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah. If you see a man who says he went to the forest with his boat and come out with a shark, we should avoid such a man. God bless you.
All right, thank you very much.
You are funny.
Interesting proverb there. Hello.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Please try again if you can. Good morning.
Wemimo, morning to you.
Good morning.
Ahoy.
Good morning.
A very good morning to you and our analyst in the studio.
My name.
I'm going to off your mic, Honorable.
Please
go ahead, sir.
This morning. Just don't let me forget my name. My name is Prince Y.S. calling from Aghogho. In advance, I just want to say congratulations to the government. That is
It hasn't been declared yet, but you can go ahead and make your comments.
When you see the figure,
let's wait for the final announcement. Okay.
I'm happy what is going on now because all of us we are not in the region of Edo State, but the way they beat the drum of war, we appeal, we beg. At the end of the day, as it is now, I can't tell the next minute, but as it is now, it looks so peaceful. To anyone that emerged at the end of the day, I say in advance, I say congratulations. That's my candid message this morning.
Thank you. Thank you so much for calling.
Very much.
All right. Remember to take 1 minute. So we have a lot of people on the line. Good morning.
Yeah, hello. Good morning, Wemimo.
Good morning to you.
Ogogo, good morning.
Good morning.
Dr. Lebros. Good morning, sir.
Sir, morning, sir.
Is he now a doctor? I didn't know.
Just borrowed rooms.
Very quickly, sir. I've really enjoyed your analysis.
Please, your name first and where you're calling from.
Okay, sorry. My name is Uche. I'm calling from Ikeja.
Okay.
Welcome to the show.
Very quickly, I've really enjoyed the analysis so far. But there's one thing I would like to point out, and I wish this can be adopted. I would like us to have staggered elections in this country. The Edo election has been an eye-opener.
Can we afford to have staggered elections in terms of money and personnel?
Look, let me explain. See, if we are conducting elections in 2023, right? There are 365 days in a year. There are 36 states in the country. Let's not do these elections on the same day, because what the Edo election has taught us is simple. Remember that in the last 1 week, there was so much focus on Edo. It was more like a national exercise. The searchlight was beamed specifically on Edo to the point where it became almost impossible for all kinds of shenanigans and all that to happen. So that's what I would like us to adopt, because to tell you the truth, most of the times we talk about elections, we only focus on places like Lagos, maybe Abuja. If you go to other states, a lot of things happen.
But your comment is very interesting, saying that some people are asking that we have all the elections on the same day.
No. Look at what has happened in Edo now. Because everybody was concentrating on Edo, all focus, everything.
No.
The satellite was
Didn't we concentrate on
them.
All right,
You
Uche.
understand?
We get your point, Uche.
If you have elections on the same day in all the states, my brother, go to other states and see what happens. Even in rural areas, you will be shocked.
Okay, Uche, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you for your comments.
Okay, let me go to WhatsApp. There are so many comments here. I hope we are able to keep up. The Edo election goes to show to a large extent that if the youth of this country stand up for what they want, no one, not even the rich, can change it. It played out in Adams Oshomole's first-time election in 2007, where the people decided the outcome by not collecting money, or they collected it and still voted their conscience to protect their vote. The people have spoken, says Greg from Festac. Thank you. Good morning, everyone in the studio. Please, can you run through the results of the local? It's on our Twitter handle at Nigeria Info FM. So go there. You see all the results there. Other people have decided which other state and the nation at large will always vote the candidate of their choice. At the end, democracy wins and the opinion of the people will prevail, says he and Achille Chibuza on WhatsApp. Thank you. APC and Oshomole, how market? Says Charles from Ijesha. Thank you. Matthew from Ikeja here says, okay, I can't read this. I think he wrote it in Edo. I don't know what language it is. It's Ogbane. What's Ogbane?
Ogbane. Okay, Ogbane.
It says
it's complete.
He said complete. What? 4 plus
4. Ogbane.
It says 4 plus 4. Togba.
Togba. That's the slogan for Obaseki's support group. So, but that's 4 plus 4 will be complete. And then now that the result is almost complete, they just tell you the response is Ogbane. That means it is complete.
It's complete. Oh, I see. Okay. It's a very sweet language. Other people have decided, I wish the winner the best. Wale from Sango on WhatsApp. Godwin says, the line of Bullion Vance and Oshel Baba have been demystified. Says other people say Baba is a godfatherism. Ondo loading. Yes, Ondo loading, actually, says Adeyemi here. Okay, another comment on WhatsApp. Edo election is to tell the godfathers that there's nothing like that again in Nigeria. We are wise now. Uche from Ikorodu. Okay, we'll talk about that in a moment. Tinubu's telecast also caused more damage. It was bad enough that Oshomole was trying to bring people he had bashed. He said, I knew Obaseki would win, says David. Let's talk about the godfatherism. People say it's a final no to godfatherism in Nigeria. Really?
If there are no godfathers in Nigerian politics, Obaseki wouldn't have even become a candidate
in the first
PDP.
place.
In PDP even.
Yeah.
If you remember when he started having problems, the likes of Tommy Kimi went to pay him a courtesy visit.
Right.
And then subsequently, when it was obvious that APC was not going to feed him, he went to visit Wike. He visited Udom. These are the owners of the party. And so let's not delude ourselves with this one-off victory. It happened under Oshomole, if you remember. This was an end to it. But in 2016, Oshomole went around, against all odds, raised Obaseki's hand and said, this is the man. Even though some of his party members were not happy. But a lot of people still believed that 2016 election was somehow, it wasn't the wish and will of the people.
But the idea of godfatherism, is it a bad idea? I mean, politicians grow, and as you grow, you pull up other people with you.
No, it is not, but the only problem we have here
or if you call it mentorship, would it sound better?
Yeah, it is not a mentorship kind of godfatherism. What we have here is manipulative kind of godfatherism. And so that's why you see one man wanting to dictate. When you mentor somebody, you allow him to grow to a certain stage. You leave him like the bird to fly free.
Experiment.
Yes. But here, you don't mentor. You leave him perpetually down. Then someday you just pull him up. And then you still want to, you tie a rope around his neck and then you hold the rope. And that's what we have here, and that's what people do not like.
Something, Liboros, I want you to also help shed some light on. The campaigns were very divisive, and people talked about it being a polarizing election campaign. On one side, you have. But when I look at the results coming in, look at the map. Red, the entire Edo State, say for the northern part of Edo State, and I ask myself whether the divisiveness has happened with the politicians or with the people.
What the people actually, for the Esan part, which is Edo Central, they are very particular about who becomes the next governor after Obaseki. A lot of them are very particular about that. And so for them, they feel, even though it's a PDP-dominated area, which Oshomole abandoned in his 8 years, if you are from that area, you understand that because it was an Nenis-controlled area, PDP area, Oshomole didn't really do much in that area in his 8 years. He did much in South and North, where he's from. Tade road to my village, and till date my people still anything outside of Oshomole don't even try it. But for the Asian people, they have not, PDP had not been in power for 12 years since Lucky Benedion. So the moment Obaseki came, he went to align with those people first, even in his first few months in office. If you remember, the Onojo of Uromi was suspended by Oshomole. Obaseki, lifted that suspension. So he won the heart of those people who traditionally were in PDP. And for them, the coming in of, what do you call it, or Izeyamu, will further extend their exclusion and their attempt at Mosadebe House. And so they wouldn't mind an Obaseki for 4 years and then let the zoning move to Edo Central.
Afterwards.
Yes, afterwards. And so that also is a factor that you cannot, undermine. Then, on the issue of divisiveness, you also find out that in Edo, in Benin, the Edo South, which controls 60% of the population, of the voting population. Two key factors. One is the fact that they supported Oshomole against Aneni in his time, even against one of their own, General Charles Ayawe, in Oshomole's second term. And so the story about Oshomole wanting to be godfather, wanting to control, to them did not also play out well. Edo is a civil service state. The civil servants are collecting salaries, pensioners are collecting salaries, so that's all that matters to them.
Right.
And
Just
so,
pay.
Yes, and so for one of theirs, who they feel, yes, is developed area. He has built a stadium. He has renovated his, what you call it. That's why I said, you see the way you're looking.
you see me rolling my eyes.
Like, you,
we are very low expectations.
Very low expectations. So for me, these are not what we should be counting.
Really?
And that's why I said infrastructural development were not, factors that determine the election. So for the people, how can a non-Benin man come and decide who becomes leader in Benin?
Wow.
So that also was a factor. And then Oshomole's kind of loquaciousness, permit me to use that word.
Please get your dictionaries. Don't you?
Oshomole, somebody should advise Oshomole that, there is a limit to abuses and insults when it comes to politics. You don't burn bridges completely because you might need those bridges someday.
Yes.
And then his stubbornness also cost him some of these. And so he burnt a lot of bridges. He destroyed them. And so now he needed to rebuild those bridges. Rather than take the back seats and allow the man that you have supported to also now go into the campaign with his own strength, you also led the campaign. It was as if Oshomole was the candidate in the election.
Very true.
So it was, for the people, it was like, look, if this man win, are we sure that Oshomole will not continually be in charge? So we need to determine who actually.
I think there are great lessons that you pointed out.
Those are the things that worked in favor for Bassey.
Like Yorubas would say, the rain might fall and you need to enter the same house twice. So be careful how it's
and
a
then
great
that
lesson.
Tinubu's video really. People also are talking about politics of 2023.
Right.
There's this rumor that Tinubu wants to be president. And then there's also the rumor of godfatherism. And then somebody that almost everybody knows to be the godfather in Bodilon. You now come out to, I would have expected a video talking about peace, being a leader.
Right.
Just take that position.
Take the position of peace, go about, don't kill, but ensure that you vote for people who will enhance democracy.
Right.
There's a way you do. But to go all out, to say reject this candidate and, and then yet they had been telling you, Edo is not Lagos, and then you now come. So the belief is that, truly, you want to come control the resources here the way you're controlling the ones in your place. And so that's also, just was almost like the final nail on the coffin. It was ill-advised.
Let's get to the phone lines and talk about this politics. What used to be formerly part of the Western region and then became Midwest and then Oboh there, now Edo State. Let's hear what you have to say.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Wemimo.
Good morning.
My name is Austin. I'm calling from Aghogho.
Thanks for calling.
Right. I just want to express my excitement, as it were, because I was in Edo a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago or so, and about a month ago I saw Obaseki when he came for campaigns in Uomi and all, and in Ekpoma and the likes. I was happy because the way the whole thing went before now, the way it felt like it is whoever Oshomole brought up would be the next governor. I just wanted a change, a drift from the norm, as it were, So that's why I was happy when the whole thing turned out the way it did yesterday.
Thank you so much. Thank you for calling. Let me go to Twitter and take some comments before we come back to the lines. Scotty Mentor on Twitter says, I'm so happy that Edo State has started the political revolution we long for. It says the revolution has begun. I don't know, be Lagos. Okay. Ondo is still there, remember? Edward Aluge says, you're always on point, sir. Talking to Liboros. I'm enjoying your detailed analysis. Thank you. London used... Finally, what a handle. London used husband material. He says, Edo people have shown us that manipulative godfatherism and dictatorship days are starting to fade away in Nigerian politics. This is good to hear. The power is to the people, and we've demonstrated that. Thank you. Back to the phones.
Okie dokie. Let's hear what you have to say.
All right, please try again if you can. Okay, let me take one from WhatsApp. Ugochukwu Noli from Lekki says, Edo State has set the standard, and Nigerians should hope it cut across every area in the country whenever political election process kickstarts. By God's grace, we will get there. Thank you.
INEC has set its new standard.
All we should
say is, INEC, please, next election, introduce more innovation that will enhance transparency.
How about we put a great push that the electoral reforms, electoral act, be perfected before the next election?
Exactly.
It helps
INEC.
Those are
the issue because
it will help INEC to help us.
People keep saying, if you introduce electronic voting, it will be subject to manipulation. But we're seeing technology here. Electronic,
you're using it for your money, your bank.
You're using it for your banks. You're using it for everything. But when it comes to election, you say no, don't.
We even have students being taught over online during the lockdown.
And so also you see from the comment now, a lot of people are not happy with APC's style of leadership, even at the center, and it's really, really bad also.
All right, let's hear some more. Hello and good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
What's your name and where you calling from?
My name is Jolomi. I'm calling from Lekki.
Thanks for calling.
I have a question. What about the Supreme Court issue? Are we not going to Supreme Court for this case?
Which of the cases?
At least first of all get to the tribunal before you.
No, which of the cases? Is it this Edo?
Other cause I will
please, did he refer to this Edo election?
Yes,
that they've not finished announcing the result.
Hello, good morning. Lawyers will make money now.
Yeah, you will.
Hello, good morning.
Hello,
good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Welcome to the show.
Wemimo,
good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Lagos.
Good morning.
Nice analysis here.
Thank you.
This is Edwin Asukwa calling from Lagos.
Thanks for calling.
All right,
I'm happy with what is happening in Edo now, at least. They've shown that power belongs to the people. Just the way it happened in Akwa Ibom when
Akpabio, yes.
Akpabio wanted to show everybody the way. They told him that no, power belongs to the people, that we can't try that. We have to show, at least it has been shown that Niger Delta is not Lagos.
Okay.
Niger Delta is different from Lagos, but Lagos people should take note. I think they should advise their people that now it's no longer business as usual. That people are getting wiser and wiser.
Well, Edwin, where do you stay, Edwin?
All those people.
Edwin Asuko, where do you stay?
Yeah.
Lagos.
You stay in Lagos? Okay.
I stay in Lagos.
Okay,
right.
so
you are shouting Niger Delta is not Lagos.
You advise yourself too.
Right.
Hello and good morning.
Hello. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, Wemimo.
Good morning.
Yeah, how are you? This is Bola calling from Oboh.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah, you raised the question in the beginning of this conversation concerning the voters' mindset.
Yeah.
That is what I've been pondering over all this, since you started the program. I'm not concerned about this, who won, or the parties or whatever. I think if anything is going to change, these praises people are just starting up to praise now. Thank God, no go-farizing. No, this is not our problem. It has not solved our voting problem. I think what I'm concerned about tonight is how are we going to, please, let Liberal Shoma, let him, make a statement on this. How are we going to separate people's mind from emotional about party?
Emotional voting.
No, as in people are too much attached to party, which I despise so much. How are we going to separate our mind from
Well, in this election, I don't think they were attached to parties. They were attached to individuals. In this Edo election, it wasn't a power. It was individuals. We don't like your face. We like your face. Any party you go to, we vote for them anyway. That's what played out in the Edo election. Laborers.
Yeah, because two things. I think what he's trying to say is that when are we going to see voters look at,
quality
campaign promises
yes.
and then score you on the basis of campaign promises.
Right.
Yes, while we're looking at those, also we can't also rule out the fact that people who the supporters or somebody who is being oppressed or the style of governance of their party will also, people will reckon with it, excuse me. And so if you look at all of these styles, you look at the style of APC currently at the center, and then you look at how what the build up to disqualification of Obaseki. These are antecedents, and people gradually are following. And then you look at what Oshomole said in 2016. You put all of this together, and then you now look at the process itself. But if all of these were absent, then people will focus on what did he do before the election, or what were his campaign promises, how much of them has he delivered on.
You know what, when I asked that question, and I'm so happy that our listeners are beginning to ponder on this, because it worries me.
Yes.
Why these things you've mentioned are important, the process, the kickback, the sentiments, they are important. The feel people have of the APC, for instance, being at the national, the central, it is important. But there are more critical issues which I identify, like what's going to happen to your children in the next 4 years? The schools they will attend, your healthcare facilities.
Wemimo,
these are
have
important.
Reduced
the
governance.
Economy.
That's why somebody will say we are begging governor to come to our aid.
I tell you,
we are begging president to come to our aid. Instead of calling on them, pointing their attention. You see, when politicians make promises, rather than hold them accountable to those promises, we make excuses for them thereafter.
Yes.
We forget that we are the ones in opposition, not the political party in opposition, because they can switch camp.
Go back. Nigerians,
Yes,
we know that we are the Nigerians
we are the ones in
know.
opposition. No, they don't know. Nigerians don't know. That's why we now begin to make excuses. You see, in 1977, a village called Okbila in Edo State, that's where Kasim Afebwa is from. That's the last village before Kogi State in Edo, had pipe-borne water as far back as 1977. But today, 2020, we can't boast of pipe-borne water even in metropolitan Lagos. Okbila now has, I don't think people born in 1980 would remember that community used to have a pipe-borne water. We had water boards in those days. But today we have dropped, expectations so low that a honorable member of the House of Assembly or a senator or the House of Rep, we commission a borehole and take newspaper advert to celebrate it, and we'll congratulate him for giving dividends of democracy to us. And then when you point at these things, look at Edo, for example. During the campaign, you hear people will tell you, after all, Baseki built stadium. He renovated the stadium. He renovated the secretariat. He built judges' quarters. The money is not there like that. He's paying salaries. And then you ask yourself, if a governor does not pay salary, is it Liboros Oshoma that will pay salaries?
Is it his money he's paying the salaries
and
with?
Then, even those things that they said, this person had done, is it his money? I once asked, so Fashola Woko, I said, wait, his money.
In fact, Liboros, now that you've mentioned this, a couple of days ago, I was just looking at the sort of regional development going on, especially with the Southwest. The railway lines crisscrossing Abeokuta to Ibadan, and you hear them come together, many of the Southwestern governors. Interestingly, people have maybe underrated the PDP, for example. But to think about it now, the way this result is going, we now have a situation where the PDP controls the entire South-South, like it happened in
exactly. I know where you're going to.
In 1999. So maybe
what's
we
the
look
synergy?
Back at the lessons.
No, apart from that, what's the synergy among these governors in terms of development? It's okay, you know what? Why don't we think of a railway line that will run from Benin through Delta, all the way to Port Harcourt, to Akwa Ibom, for example. So we connect, movement of goods and services in this state, this region, since, it is the same party, the same people. How do we ensure all of that? They won't do it.
Those are not the conversations we hear.
No. The people also will not point them to those factors.
Or demand those things.
Or demand those things from them. Instead, you hear, Ben Ayade, is planting rice. And then we'll say, that governor has done so well. Obaseki has built judges' quarters. You say, he has done so exceedingly well. Nobody is asking the question. I like the question that Obaseki asked Izeyamu during the debate.
Right.
This is your simple agenda, 500 million per annum. Where are you going to get the money from? So we don't ask our governors these questions. Obaseki came in 2016 and said, I will provide 200,000 jobs in a year. As I speak to you now, not even 20,000 jobs anywhere. And yet, nobody asks those questions.
Right.
If you ask those,
it's not necessary. Try.
You know, then the others are happy. Oh, he signed MOU. And those MOU brought modular refinery. And then the refinery, the man admitted that what they have in that refinery is not up to 2.5%.
Right.
So it's privately owned. But that we provided an enabling environment. If you not provide an enabling environment, Amigo provide that.
I mean, there's the industrial village which is supposed to run.
Yes. You have an area earmarked for industrial village for 4 years now, and it's still in the map. Nothing had been done. You know, so until we, the people, sit up to say, when you came to us, it was a social contract. You came to us with a document. This is what you're going to do. And then on the basis of those, we voted you into office. And now that you're in office, we want to begin to tick the box now.
Right.
The first one that you said you would do, how much of it have you done?
Right.
The second one, we shouldn't just be
There must
swayed.
be a scorecard,
Yes,
especially for someone who wants to return as a governor. You've been there 4 years.
We shouldn't just be swayed by rhetorics.
Yeah.
And also for somebody who wants to come and take over, we should ask, how are you going to do it? Where are you going to get the finances from?
Right.
You know,
Let's talk to the people. The phone lines are buzzing. I'd like to hear from them. I mean, this is about you. And I hope that from this studio, when we're done at 12, by the way, we can continue these thoughts. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the show.
Yes, please. Good morning to Libros and the other man in the studio.
Excellent. Great to hear.
The government of Nigeria.
Kindly tell us your name first and where you're calling from.
You're talking to Olumide.
Olumide, great.
Yeah, I know this voice.
Yeah. So, you know, sometimes the government of Nigeria tells us that they are broke. But let me tell you one thing. If Nigeria is really broke, all of them would have resigned.
Yeah, that's true.
Nobody wants to be in a place where they will not make money.
That's true.
Or work for free.
Exactly. They can't work for free. So there's money. Let them stop deceiving us. Let them stop, making a fool of all of us. Just like Libros said, we have to look at the scorecard. Who has bewitched Nigerians that they cannot do the right things, that they cannot look at the scorecard? Look at APC, all the promises. Why can't we just vote them all out?
I mean, there were other candidates. That's what hits me. We didn't even consider them.
I'm totally happy with what is happening in Edo because it's going to shut some people down for a long time. I'm glad with what is happening in Edo State. Good morning.
All right, thank you for calling. Let me go on to Twitter and take some comments from there. Chloroquine, you guys have very interesting handles on Twitter. Chloroquine, why is your name Chloroquine? The outcome of Edo election clearly shows that really people are determined, are the determinant factor of who leads them or not. Special felicitations to the people of Edo State for holding their ground. A staggered election, he says, is clearly the way forward. I mean, I'm not sure we agree with that. Obani Chisom says, I see Spurs getting the...
That's sports. Well, by the way, that's coming up by noon when the Femi and the gang come in
wait for that.
For the live commentary. But
yeah, I mean, see what did they do the guy? WhatsApp, John Paul from Las Vegas joins us on WhatsApp and he says, to me, I still believe Oshomole didn't win Osumbo in his first term. He was just lucky being the governor. Well,
No, he did. He did.
Well,
he
you can't even argue that.
But it's like saying that you believe that Obaseki did
not really win. You can't believe it, but it did happen. The success of every election is determined by the security on ground. I commend the IGP, DSS, and other security operatives. Let one man be scheduled for 2 securities in Nigeria. What do you mean? So that we can have this kind of election in all the states. I didn't get you. Elemi from Ogun State. Thank you. Okay, no, you're sending a video. Good morning. Now the PDP is leading. What happened to the 10K loan APC gives from John? I don't get your meaning, actually. The quarrelsome nature and the loquacious attitude of Tinubu and Shomole have cost them their political careers, has it? Has it? Politicians will always try again.
No, for Shomole, it's 2-0 for him.
But you think he'll take the back seat now? I don't think so.
Where will he now take the front seat from? That's the problem.
Well, it said the people of Edo I know are stubborn to lack of respect. This is what panned out at the end. Thank you very much. Kodi Linye Ezekwesili from Igbowa. Thank you very much. Can we go to the phones?
We're out of time. So unfortunately, we'll have to go quickly. But let's have the final words from Liboros. Usually we'd like to ask whether any lessons have been learned. If we get 2 local governments out of the way, then we know where it's going. But I'm sure by now you should have lessons from this entire exercise.
Yes, a lot of lessons. But I doubt if politicians, have learned their lesson, because you will definitely always see a repeat occurrence in the future. But for me, it is the people. It is too early to begin to celebrate that, oh yes, the people have spoken. This is the way to go. For me, without a transparent INEC, without a neutral security forces, the next election you will complain just the way you are celebrating now. And so we should not suddenly remove our eyes from the ball. We should consistently, ask the questions, the right questions, to say, look, INEC, we need you to up the game. Security, try as much as you can not to interfere. And then we should also consistently interrogate our politicians. Consistently. That's the only way we can get development.
I totally agree.
Otherwise we'll be swayed by this. You said, you didn't say.
Yeah.
And then one winner emerge. I just hope that there will be no complaints after now, because APC people did complain against Obaseki after 2016. I just pray that PDP will not complain against him.
Oh my goodness.
Because when that happens, that is when we remember that we need to interrogate every process.
Absolutely, I agree. On Table Talk tomorrow morning from 9 to 10, I'm continuing this conversation, these questions that I have raised. And I'm throwing you a challenge on the show tomorrow. Nigerians get the leaders that they deserve. That's our conversation on Table Talk, 9 a.m. tomorrow on Nigeria Info. But we do need to leave now.
Yeah, we do need to leave. And when the results come out later today, I'm sure sports can patch in Fidel Osegale for his final hurrahs. And then through our programming tomorrow, from Morning Crossfire through to Hard Facts, we're going to have discussions on the Do elections and the aftermath. Thank you again once more, Liboros Anegbete Oshoma, legal practitioner.
Thank you for coming in.
My pleasure.
And thank you, Nigeria, for joining us. We are closing the Edo election coverage studio. We'll be back when it's Ondo's turn. And interestingly, we might have a repetition of, the same things. Nigeria is very interesting. It's always the same things, in different shades and forms that happen all over again. Thank you for joining us. I'm on social media as Wemimo Sports. I'm Wemimo Adewuni. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on Table Talk.
And I'm Aghogho Oboh. See, the sports guys are already here, so get ready for Premiership.
Yay!
With Femi and the gang, eh?
Right, and go away.
Leading the conversation.
We black people must understand what is really going on.
Import milk, sugar, toothpaste, handkerchief, pencil. We don't make.
Presenting the facts and access to pour out your mind.
There are more Nigerian doctors in LA than in the entire country of Nigeria. So let's be serious here.
We bring the experts on political and economic issues.
Every time you bring in a shipload of rice, you also bring in a shipload of unemployment, because you are transferring your wealth to sustain other economies.
So let's look at an Africa that must be free to take care of herself, an Africa that's free from exploitation in broad daylight.
They need jobs. They are children. They've graduated. They've come back home to begin a second child because there's no factory to employ them.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.